Getting engaged is a moment worth cherishing. A one-of-a-kind ring that you design at Blue Nile can help your love sparkle. Just choose your diamond and setting. When you've found the one, you'll get it delivered right to your door. Finding the right engagement ring can be nerve-wracking. At Blue Nile, you'll have the expert guidance needed and a diamond guarantee that ensures you're getting the highest quality at the best price. Cherish all of life's moments and save up to 30% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to discuss two more wins. We don't have Si yet. He may join us. He's doing double training sessions as punishment. But I do have Dr Barts and I do have Hamzah, and we are going to go through the Southampton FA Cup game very briefly, and then the Nottingham Forest League game in a lot more depth. So without further ado, jumping straight in, Hamzah, Southampton. That fifth round FA Cup game that kind of we had to try and field a team for in amongst having 14 players out injured. How did we line up?
We lined up in a way that I don't think anyone expected. Technically a 4-3-3, Keller in goal, Bradley, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, Tsimikas back four, so pretty standard there. Pretty
good back four.
Yeah, but Joe Gomez was also in the team as well. And when seeing the lineup, I assumed at least that Gomez would be playing right back and Bradley might play right wing and Elliott in midfield, like was the case in the League Cup final. But instead, Gomez plays as number 6. Bobby Clark was in midfield alongside him with McConnell, and then Elliott, Kumar, and Gakpo were the front three, and also Southampton as well. They made some changes. That wasn't a sort of full strength team from them. They've been quite good in the Championship this season, and as anyone that watched the match or at least saw the highlights would have picked out, they play some decent football. They're not the strongest team in the Championship in terms of XG difference per 90. I think they're going around 0.61, something like that. And Leeds and Leicester.
They did have a massive unbeaten run, didn't they, at one point? It was like 24 games unbeaten.
That's right, a record for them, yeah. So 0.61 is still pretty strong, but it doesn't quite compare to Leicester and Leeds' XG difference this season, which is closer to 1. But yeah, they are a good team, and they also made a few changes and left a few players on the bench to Che Adams, Cole Walker-Peters, Taylor Howard-Bellis. But yeah, that team, I don't think, the Liverpool team that is, I don't think many would have expected to see Joe Gomez as number 6.
No. And just obviously you're far younger than the rest of us, Hamzah, but do you remember the late 90s, and do you remember Neil Dans and Jason Koumas, both staples of the Merseyside lower league scene, and their sons both turning out for Liverpool in this match, amazingly?
I was born in '97, so it's a bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah, you haven't checked the video footage since, though.
No, as in, it's funny how people recollect things. I'm sure my earliest football memory is of Michael Owen scoring the FA Cup against Arsenal.
Oh, that's a good memory.
However, I think I actually sort of misremembered that. I think I probably watched it on TV and forced myself to think that I remember watching that when I was little. That's often how memory sort of works. I've got a friend as well who swears by Roberto Carlos's free kick being the first goal he ever saw, even though it was a year before he was born. Memories is funny that.
That's foresight.
Honestly, you ask him what was the first sort of football memory that you remember. He says that goal, and I'm like, actually, that's impossible.
That could be a plot line from June or something. Yeah.
But people do remember things in certain ways, and that's part of you can change a little detail in the match and in a recollection, and suddenly people start remember all sort of things around the match. But that's just an interesting thing about how memory works, because every time someone recalls a memory, a little sort of bit about it changes.
So anyway, I think Neil Dans and Jason Kumas, both Scousers. I think, but Kumas was from over the water, Birkenhead, I'm pretty sure, and I think Neil Dans was from Toxteth. So, but both local lads. Although I think Lewis was born and raised in Chester, about 15 miles away for people outside the UK. But anyway, how did you think Joe Gomez did? That's the big one, Hamzah. There was the tactical talking point. How did you think he did?
I think he did okay. I was actually surprised how well he coped with it, given that he has been inverting this season, and I think you mentioned a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, that in physical terms, he can play that. He's quick, he's strong, he's good in the air, covers ground, can tackle, and he's able to make the short, simple passes and also those line-breaking ones. So just in terms of player profile, you go, okay, in technical terms, he ticks the boxes. However, one other element of technical play is how can you receive in tight spaces, how can you play, and what can you see? Gomez doesn't quite have that, obviously. But yeah, he, all things considered, it wasn't him that was sort of getting the worst of dealing with the press the worst. He was showing quite well, but you also had McConnell dropping in to support him as well sometimes. So yeah, I thought it was serviceable for a fifth round cup match at home. I probably wouldn't do it again, but as in we did do it again.
We did do it again 3 days later. Yeah, and fortunately, Bill, Dr. Barts, we do have your very, very good stats pack. I mean, how before we do the general match stuff, let's finish off with Gomez. How did he do statistically?
In terms of his profile,
any standouts?
I think the thing that Hamzah's kind of touched on is that he would have started that game completely off because he would have been receiving the ball on the turn. He wouldn't have pictures in his mind about receiving it in that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's very different when you're back, last line defence, when you're receiving it, even full back to centre half is slightly different. But I mean, checking his profile out, where have I got it here on page? I've just lost it now for a minute. He profiles a little bit like Endo in that role, but so that's not a bad impression of him. He was high on aerials, predictably, and everything else he was kind of either above or.
He had 65 attempted passes, 91% completion. That's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
He's bang on average for pass completion. He's bang on average for possession. He's above average for shots because everyone kept bloody asking him to shoot. Apologies for swearing. EPV is below average, but you'd expect that. And on ball time, he's in line average for his position. So he was a serviceable six. I did think he improved as the game went on, and I thought he was notably better on Saturday. To be fair, as well in the role.
Looking at his passing connections, though, his top four were all to defend the back four,
which is kind of like at least he wasn't losing it, wasn't he? He was kind of like, right, I've got the ball here. I'll give it to one of my fullbacks. I'll give it to either was it Van Dijk first half, wasn't it? I'll just try and make sure this is playing safe. The good thing with all of those connections is top five are all 100% success, so he wasn't giving it away. Whereas was it Clark playing next to him? I think, or McConnell. One of them was next to him was probably giving it away a little bit in areas that we weren't needing to. Because I mean, Saints started like a absolute house on fire. I mean, you were there, Darth. I mean, that must have been pretty scary from your position.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was lucky enough to be at this one. But yeah, it was quite a hair-raising, first half with some of those chances Southampton had. Just to finish off Gomez, he's kind of almost like a rectangle around the centre circle, isn't it? His touch map, which is quite sensible, really.
I think he's. People don't give Joe Gomez credit, I don't think, or maybe we do, but others don't. But he is a smart footballer. You can't play both sides of the defence and centre half and not be intelligent and know where you should be and pick up positional cues. He's also probably the first. What is he? Is he mid-late 20s? I can't remember. So he would have gone through very early at academy. So they would have started building in these ideas of playing in multiple positions to do it, rather than the very old school academies where you come in. Oh, you're a forward lad at 6 and you just try as being a forward. He'd have been in that generation.
He's still only 26.
Something like that. But do you know what I mean? He would have learned different positions because his fundamental skill set as a footballer is a good footballer. He can pass the ball, he can dribble, he can drive, he can head, he can do all of that. So it doesn't take that much adaptation. And Klopp would have just said to him, just play in this area. Yeah. Just play in this area for me. And he did. And you see his touch right there. And it gets slightly bigger second half up to first sub. It goes into zone 14, but that's because he probably goes on a bit of a stroll and has a shot now and again. But I thought it was he grew into the role, did what his job was. He was there mopping up, and you saw that again against Forest. I thought he was very good at knowing where the ball was going to drop, maybe being a centre half, when the ball was going to drop and not picking up the second pieces and then recycling it. And I think that's all he needed to do against Saints.
There's no question that he's having the best season of his career. There's no question, absolutely no question.
In terms of availability,
both in terms of availability and performance. I mean,
I still argue he's took the title when he started. He was pretty good for them.
I think he only played 14 games or something.
Then he got injured. Was it Burnley away? He got injured. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, he probably is.
What are 14 games? But this is definitely a season for sure.
Season high, for sure.
All right, but let's while we're talking about the stats, let's look at the key stats for the whole match.
No worries. So I don't know whether people would realise or not, but it ended up pretty much being 50-50 possession. On ball time, pretty much the same. We had more touches in our time than them, 7:58 to 7:30. Total shots, although the first opening part of the game was completely dominant by them, they had something like 3 shots to our 1 in the first 15 minutes. We ended up with 18-12 for them in total. We had 8 off target to their 6 off target. We had 5 on target to their 3. 6-yard box shots, none for us, 4 for them. So that's the second game in a row we've allowed more penalty box shots more 6-yard box shots than ourselves. So the opposition has outshots in our own 6-yard box. Penalty box 11v11, so about the same. Our obsession, as you guys got covered in previous pods about outside the box shots, continues with this one. 7 outside the box to 1. Big chances, they had 4, we had 3, but importantly, we scored 3 goals to their 0. XG, I've got it as 1.59 versus 1.77 to them, which in terms of post shot, ours is 0.17 and theirs is 0.1, which kind of gives you a little indication of the way the game went. Threat, they had 0.86, we had just over 1, so they converted more of their threat to XG, which kind of, we say that about a low quality sides, they can often create good chances, but because they haven't got the high quality in the right areas, they don't actually score goals from those chances, which you could see in the chances. If you create 4 big chances at Anfield, you don't score. Gives you an indication of what happened. Passing success rates, we were in the 90s, they were in the high 80s. Field tilt, again, a stat that probably gives some indication, 60-40. So we spent the more time in their final third than they did in ours, which, you can see it, particularly second half. We really turned that on. If you look at how you break it down by 15-minute quarters, the first half of the game, they were 75-25 in our defensive field tilt. That is, so they were 75% in our defense, their attacking third, if you like, versus us. So that's the measure of that first 15 minutes. Then for 15 to 30, we separate that to a 50-50. And just before half time, which is when our goal came, we turned it around 75-25. So as I hate the word momentum, but you can have it a little bit in game, changed throughout that half, the field tilt changes as well. And then second half, Again, they came out really hard, 66% field tilt versus 33. But then we gradually notched it back the other way, 83, 16 to us, then 100% versus 0 up to 90 minutes. And then in 90 plus, we just sat off and went, that's done. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, yeah, you can see through stats like that, if you break it down by 15 minutes, how the game changed as it went through the phases of the half.
Well, just to put a bit of narrative on the bones there, I mean, Southampton had the first 3 shots of the game. They hit the post after about 5 minutes, which was the guy was through coming in from the left with Salamina, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then just very shortly afterwards, there was a fantastic save, a one-on-one from Cleveland Kelleher. And we'll talk about Kelleher more in the Forest game. And yeah, we struggled, I thought, to get going in that first half. It was very disjointed. We'd had very little build-up. I think which was to be expected, right? We're basically not training at the moment. We're effectively playing a game recovery. So when you've got to go into, so this was Sunday we finished the League Cup, right? Yeah,
right. Yeah. Wednesday, you've then got to change the midfield. You've lost. You got to change to back 4. You got to rest because you got to go and win at Forest.
Survivor 46 is here, and so is On Fire, the only official Survivor podcast, and we have a twist this season. The winner of Survivor 45, Dee Valladares, will be joining us every week.
We're going behind the scenes of the biggest moments, the how and the why things happen, and the strategy and analysis you can only get from someone like me, a Survivor winner.
Listen to On Fire, the official Survivor podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom-heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at hyperice.com.
Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It's another set of players, as Si would say, was here. They hadn't played together.
No.
So they looked like that for the first 15 minutes. And I think we were fortunate, is probably a word, to not concede. I mean, if you look at the probabilities that I did for this game, Saints for 44% to win the game.
Yeah.
With a score of, I think it was 2-1 or 1-0 to them were the highest probable score. So that gives you an indication. Yeah, which gives you an indication of those early patches of each half where we were just trying to sort ourselves out. A better side, to be frank, would have been 2 up in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we did play 3 teenagers and another 4 players aged 20. So,
it's just the way it is, isn't it? You know, Kumas is making his debut. You've got Clark and McConnell in there with a completely brand new 6, although Gomez is a senior pro. Yeah, it's going to happen. That's what happened.
So Kumas was trying a few things in the first half. None of them really came off Hamzah until he actually managed to take the lead with a pretty low percentage chance. Don't want to distract from a debut goal from a teenager for Liverpool, but was it a little bit of a lucky goal? Did he mishit it and send the keeper the wrong way? What do you think?
It got a deflection, which was which killed the keeper really. I think one thing that when cutting in off the left on this particular angle, when you're perpendicular to the goal, when you're parallel to the goal, is that if you're striking the ball, it's always easier to pull the shot across your body, as in if you're coming from left, running from left to right. With this particular shot, it's harder to try and get the ball curling into the top right corner if the ball is sort of moving parallel along the sort of the lines of the box. It's easier to pull it that side. But the goalkeeper gambles that he is going to do what I just said, doesn't go across. And he doesn't. He sort of hits it down the middle-ish and it gets a deflection and it sort of trundles past the goalkeeper. But yeah, it's a bit fortunate, but I mean, Liverpool have been, if we're completely honest, Liverpool have been fortunate to a large degree in the recent matches, and their opponents haven't taken their chances, and this is another example of that. I mean, the last time Liverpool put in a complete, solid, comprehensive performance,
Chelsea home,
probably a month ago, right, against
Chelsea at home.
Yeah. Since then, I mean, you've got 4-1 against Brentford and 4-1 against Luton, but those two matches, the scoreline flatters Liverpool, because against Brentford, it was very close until Liverpool took the lead, and then Brentford made some dreadful errors. And then the Luton match, Liverpool didn't get going for the first half, and when they kicked into the game in the second, yeah, they're really good, but again, not a performance. Likewise against Chelsea, and then there's this game as well. But yeah, but again, that's not a criticism. It's just a reality of a team that
managing 14 injuries.
Exactly that, yeah. So this is what you would expect to happen. It's just that recent matches and this scoreline as well sort of don't quite give the impression of a team that is really sort of battling and struggling at times for entirely explainable and understandable reasons. But yeah, fortunate with this goal, but you do sort of earn your luck and by getting into shooting.
Absolutely. And then just before half time, Gakpo has a big chance from pretty close to goal. And puts it wide. But there, the second half was a lot more comfortable overall. But did any of the young players in particular take your eye, and any noticeable stats that you really want to call out for the young players?
I don't think any. I thought Elliot grew into the. I know he's not a young player, but he still is.
Well, he is. He's 20.
Yeah, he's 20. So it made me sort of laugh when the ITV said, "Can you talk about these young players to him?" And it was like, right, asking Harvey Elliott, a 20-year-old, to talk about Dan's, who's what is he, 16 or something? But no, I thought Elliott had another composed game where he grew into it. I thought
Clark got a lot of love. Bobby Clark.
Yeah, I thought Clark did all right. I think again he was what Clark was doing was balancing up the left, which he did against the weekend as well, was dropping into the covering the left back of the zone quite well, going out wide, if you know what I mean. Wasn't quite the deep recycler, which is normally the left 8 role, which I thought was interesting. I thought it allowed Costas to be high and wide so we weren't quite as exposed in the left back area as we could have been if Costas had played high and wide, and Clark had also joined in. Clark was quite intelligent with that. I really like McConnell. I generally think he's 91.7% pass percent here. I think he had accurate 3%, quite a lot of 33.3% of our on ball time, which is not great, but his touches were down from the FA Cup final performance. But yeah, 24 passes attempted is not bad considering the length of time was on the part. I like the way one key pass from him as well in a team that wasn't functioning that functioning. I quite like him as a player. I thought he's played well. But we played one in the cup final and carried that on. I also, in terms of the other youngsters that came on, Kumas for me, he looked like the kid making a debut, and I thought he got it's a 5% chance shot he took on and scored from. You know, I think on another day, the keeper saves that. I like that. Dan's, the thing I like about Dan's is he drops in, plays that Bobby turn, and then plays the ball in behind for the fullback.
Yes.
Did it the weekend as well, and I like his strength on that and his instinct to be in the areas to get on the, potentially where rebounds can be. I think is something that I hate the phrase you can't train, you can't teach that, but I think there is instincts he has around the goal that will stand him in good stead. Kumas apparently is a great finisher from people who know a lot about the academy. I don't, but
excellent.
I think
to be honest, his dad had an eye for goal. Jason was always a goal scorer in midfield
for sure. Yeah,
and he was some pretty spectacular long range ones. I think Bobby Clark. He was quite combative. I thought of all the players in this game, he was definitely
9 jewels.
I think he looked like that. You said the way he was blending there, it looks to show that he can maybe be moulded into that athletic number 8. Which there's definitely good signs there, and I think he's helped. He's got some decent natural physicality there as well, hasn't he, to work with?
Yeah, his dual right here, he's is decent. I mean, 33% is kind of in and around. I mean, Matt came on and did the same percentage, so it is what it is. But the fact he attempted 9 duels against senior players,
it's good. Yeah, absolutely.
It's good, right? He didn't shirk out of anything. I hate that phrase, but it is what it is. 66 touches, so that's one of the highest of our. That is the highest of our midfield players on the night.
Yeah.
So I think I think you're right. It's very interesting to see these players come through and start playing. And I hope they carry on getting, I think we will need them to carry on getting cameos through, because we've got to manage players even when they're coming back,
Yeah. So Hamzah, Jayden Dan's, his dad was a big lad, a bit of a bruiser. And what's one thing Jayden's got on his side as well is he's a bit of a physical monster, isn't he? He's quite an imposing young man.
He is, yeah. He's very strong. He's very. He uses his size quite well, which I think is some players need to learn how to do that, especially and I haven't tracked him through the youth team, unfortunately, but as in some players, as they put on size in their later years, they don't quite realise that they're now a physical.
Yes. Like Ryan Gravenberch is a good example.
Exactly. It just takes me a while to realise that, actually, I can put myself about, I can put my elbows out and I can receive back to goal, push myself into defenders, all that sort of stuff. And people look at you and go, actually, I don't fancy contesting an aerial with you or a duel with you. But for just an 18-year-old, he's really well developed. And that second goal is, honestly, to do that in front of the Kop is outrageous. The first goal is in Liverpool's second goal, but his first goal.
The finish, the lifted finish. Yeah.
Impudently sort of dink it is.
I mean, producer Guy will put us right. He knows all these things, but I'm pretty sure he's only played about 20 games for the academy as well. Something silly like that. But yeah, he's. I think the most. Barts has already referenced it, but to have the off-ball instincts he has at 18, that is something else, actually. To have that dropping in and pressing and wow, that is. I don't know if that's natural, if it's just his minimal academy, involvement or what. But that is really rare, I think, Hamzah, to have that awareness, that off-ball awareness at that age.
I think so. I think that's a fair point too. I mean, I've only watched him in senior football for a short while, so I haven't got a full picture of him because the minutes I've seen, the minutes everyone else has seen, it's not a massive sort of sample. But as in, if you take the run that he does for Liverpool's second goal, his first goal, you can just as soon as Elliott wins the ball, he starts to you notice there's a gap between the two centre-backs. So this is all pretty normal striker sort of stuff.
Good movement, yeah.
But he does it well. So he sees when Elliott has got his head up and then decides that's when I'm going to sort of make my break between the centre-backs and speed up. And he times the run very nicely and then lifts it perfectly. And again, it doesn't really need to look where the goal is. But as in, again, people always say that sort of thing, but it is actually quite normal to know where the goal is. And then there's a few instances later on where I think Gakpo takes a shot, but he's offering a good support run. Gakpo doesn't use it. And then for the other goal as well, the one thing that really stands out to me with this is the way Bradley sort of controls the ball and then approaches it is a sort of gangly sort of Gerrard sort of technical sort of feel to that. Not saying he is, but of course, but he just looks very similar to Gerrard at a young age. And then, Dan's follows in, breaking off the ball. As soon as the shot is taken, he starts sprinting in, and he's the first one to react. So, good, sharp striker instinct.
But, I mean, he's 18. He's already 6'4". In your opinion, and the body type he is and stuff, do you think he's finished growing? He's finished developing?
Probably. Or he's near where he's going to be. Whereas Kumas he probably needs a bit of training to do. But I think Dan's is probably not far off where he's going to be. I would suggest you have early bloomers, don't you, in terms of physicality, and you develop the rest of it. Just to add on what Hamzah said, the other bit that I thought was really interesting was his interview. where no, what I'm saying is, in that ball getting slid in behind for his first, he'd already identified needed to lift it, and he spoke about it in the interview. He said, "Oh, that's one you have to lift it." So he's already recognising what types of finish he needs to do in that situation.
Yeah, that's elite, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is elite, right? Yeah. When we talk about other players needing to develop those finishes, he's already thinking, well, that one I need to lift that. This one here I need to bend that. And I think that impressed me almost as much as the finish, although the finish was phenomenal.
Yeah. So he's not lightning. I've seen him first. I was really just so glad just to be in that stadium, just to get to see him in the flesh, but he is quite imposing because he's quite broad for an 18-year-old as well. Yeah. I'd argue he's almost got more of a physique of a boxer than a footballer. So but
when he's dropping in, he's holding the players up, isn't he? He's not. Yeah. He's not slow on that. Body strength's good. Then he's spinning and playing it in.
He's not afraid to try and bounce off the centre halves when he's running the channels as well, which is great. So,
I think good signs. I really would hope he carries on getting a few cameos with Clark as well. So
and then the third goal to wrap it up. It's Bradley with the cross shot, and it's palmed, and he just slides in and slams it into an empty goal.
Yeah. I mean, but Bradley's shot though, it's outside the foot. he's literally bending it to the far corner. I mean, that's almost an outrageous goal.
Six goal involvements in 9 games. Conor Bradley
for a backup right back or third choice right back.
6 goal involvements in 9 games, just unbelievable.
And that's why I'd have him in the side against City. So.
All right. Okay. So you'll go with you'll go with Bradley and Joe Gomez as fullbacks and Andy Robbo on the bench.
Yeah, that's what I'd have.
Interesting.
But
Conor Bradley against Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, I just fancy that, but I just fancy the stability Joe gives us the other side of Bradley with Conor providing us width on the right and Diaz providing
Gomez against Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Bradley against Doku, that would be fun actually, because Conor loves a duel, doesn't he?
He does love a duel,
and so does Doku.
Yeah, and I personally think Joe this could be the kiss of death, but I think he could do well with a match up with Foden, because Foden's going to cut in, isn't he?
Yeah, Foden's had Andy Robbo a few times in.
Yeah, so I think Foden's going to be cutting in, which means that will come onto Joe's strong side. I just think that might work, but hey, we'll see.
Yeah. Anything more on Southampton?
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
In that case, Mr. Brundish has just joined us for the main course. Evening, Si.
Evening, boys.
Good evening. We just speculated whether you were having to suffer double training sessions as punishment.
No, just politics.
Oh, okay. Wow. You must be really, really happy.
Yeah,
right.
You know, I was so annoyed.
Right. We'll talk about another time. We're just about to start the Forest stuff. So, Hamzah, talk us through that all-important Liverpool lineup.
So Keller in goal again, Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, Bradley. So not too many surprises there, but again, the big surprise in this is that Gomez is playing six again. And that meant McAllister, who was also playing, was playing a bit further forward. He's playing alongside Bobby Clark. And then the front three was Diaz, Gakpo, Elliott. And that sort of, again, links to what I think we discussed last time on the previous podcast, that Diaz is now the sort of the outlet guy.
Absolutely.
The guy that the team are seeking to be the most productive in the box, get the touches in the box, get the shots off. And it's particularly important that he was getting touches in the box because Cody Gakpo wasn't. But again, we can come back to that later.
I mean, Diaz, what we should have said, Diaz did get the midweek off, didn't he, against Southampton? He got the full game off. So, he was one of the few who's actually had a rest of some kind. So the most important features of this game were, I suppose we didn't even mention Endo. I mean, there was people after the Chelsea game saying he wasn't injured at all. The boot was just there, but he basically didn't start either of these games. Barts, what you were talking about the boots and the type of boot would be the key. What does it tell you? He's just a kick or something, or
what? I think we said last part. I think he had a kick, and it was just managing that. I think it was a good idea to give him a break midweek just to let that recover. I'm a bit like Si. I never believe you're half fit or anything. If you're on the bench, you can play. If you're returning from injury fight, you might be given a limit to how many minutes you can and can't play. But I'd imagine they would. I wouldn't suggest maybe they were trying to see if they get away with not playing him at all. But I think as was proven, he came on and played.
I was surprised to see. I fully expected him not to start against Southampton just because he played the whole match against Chelsea. But I did expect to see him start against Forest, I have to say.
Yeah, I think they. I don't know. I mean, I would suggest maybe they were trying to get through that game without playing him.
Yeah. Si, same broaden out Endo into Nunes and Zobbo as well. Do you think we've changed our risk? We changed our risk appetite or appetite for risk somewhat.
Yeah, it's if you just look at who's getting picked and on what timeline there of recovery they're definitely we're not high risk. We're not throwing lads straight back in at the early. Even if we go on the timeline suggested by the injuries that they're publicly stating and labelling, the earliest points of that they're still carrying on. Whereas before, the last month they were dropping them in either at literally the first possible moment in that window, because it's always a window. Or they were going earlier than the window from the injuries that they were publicly labelled as.
Yeah.
I just think there is nowhere to hide now at this point. If they got injured again, there's no one behind them anymore because they're already tired from being in the team.
Yeah.
There is no safety blanket.
So we have to be a little bit more cautious, and that explains why Zobbo and Nunes and Endo all on the bench for Forest.
Maybe I also wonder if we've been I've talked up about how our sports science team have been the reintegration. I think last season we were terrible, and this season we were back to being a much more cohesive unit, which we'd been for the previous 2 years. And I wonder if the Burnley away, when Jota got dropped in, I wonder if that emboldened the management team to
because we got away with Jota.
To get a little bit excited and to overrule any grey areas with the medical team, because there are always grey areas. So with all injuries and all rehab is all guesses. It's just a matter of informed guesses.
Yes.
So even when somebody's got a hamstring strain or hamstring tear, even with an MRI, it's still a guess. But with an MRI, it's become a much more accurate guess at what the outcome is and also what the prognosis is. And so we have that in our medical team, not just the MRI, but as a good analogy for the quality of the MRI of the medical team we have. They're very good. They're renowned bunch of lads who have got like world published research in knee rehabs and ACL rehabs and hamstring rehabs even. And they will have given a specific window for each player. And I wonder if Jota's he can get 10 minutes of pitch time on his rehab coming back for up to Burnley away. And Klopp said publicly that he said, well, why can't that be on a match? And he threw him in and we won because of it. And I wonder if that emboldened the decision making for those grey areas. And then Mo got injured, and that was contraindicated.
Well, we have three of our big five players got re-injured.
Mo would be the big one, but then Trent and Zobo as well.
Yeah.
That three, that totally. I wonder, just from a human point of view, if that made that feeling of empowerment dissipate a little bit. Yeah. So maybe there's not even a big strategic conversation. Maybe just the humans have gone. Maybe they actually do know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Si, we already chatted about Joe Gomez playing centre midfield against Southampton. How did you see him with Mac and Bobby Clark and the dynamics between them? What do you think? What do you think we were trying to do, and how well did you think it worked in this game?
I think we talk up how much we change a lot, and I don't think we are. I think they're trying to do the same thing as they've been doing. I think we're trying to have a six. We were joining, we're inverting our fullbacks both sides at some points. So we're always got two in midfield to protect against the counter. And often Joe Gomez had gone, and then both fullbacks tucked in, which was interesting. So it just here's the same word repeated again. It emboldened our press. But there was nothing to press because they didn't want the ball in the first place. Yeah. So, I thought we were fairly safe. They got through us a few times, but there were always there were always players in the right zones for this match in a protection kind of way. I don't necessarily think there were the right players in the right zones, but I think mostly the team did a decent job of trying to fill the right spaces at the right times. Yeah.
And it was a bit of a throwback, Hamzah, to last season. Forest did seem to basically pretty much have the same game plan as last season, where they just sat deep, didn't even try to engage us. We just played in front of them, and they tried to hit us on the break.
Yeah, this is Nuno football, so that is what he does.
Yeah.
If you look at the Elanga chance, there is a question of offside, but as in the flag wasn't raised, statistically it's recorded, so you may as well just consider it. They had that chance and then the other one as well. So they had two really big chances. But another thing that I just want to get into is how in the first half, McAllister was playing with Gomez, and the way that McAllister plays with the conventional six is slightly different to obviously how he plays when he is a six. You're just seeing a higher volume of his touches higher up the field now. if you look at the sort of Fulham match, the Bournemouth match, and the Forest match in the first, well, if you take the Bournemouth match and the Fulham match, you can see that if you take a look at his touches, there's just a larger share of them in the middle third and also a few more in the defensive third. But when you're playing with Endo against Brentford, against Burnley, in the second half against Forest, McAllister's getting a bit further forward. He's actually getting touches in the box a bit more often too. And he's able to link play with the forwards a bit better as well. And when we come to the eventual goal, there's a bit we can discuss there. But I think we're seeing a better side of him because now he has 3 assists in the past 2 matches. I know 2 were against Luton and one was just the volleyed cross and the other one might have been a set piece. But I think with greater advancement upfield, we're getting to see a bit more of his creative skills too because his XA is also ticking upwards. It was really low when he was playing as a number 6. We're starting to see an increase in that. I think in the past few matches, I've just got the stats here. Give me 1 second, sorry.
So I think it's fair to say we can conclude that he can play all 3 roles in midfield, right? To a high level, right? But do you think that 8 is his best of the 3, Hamzah?
I think so, because I think we discussed before how effective he is how he was the best in the league at Brighton in terms of passes received and playing from zone 14, which is just the most valuable area for a midfielder to be in. And I think the way that he receives in tight spaces and can release pressure is really useful. Obviously, that's really valuable as a number 6. But if you're playing against low blocks, then having a player that can sit between a very tight defensive and midfield line and receive under pressure, draw pressure, and then play out quickly is very, very valuable. Plus, when Trent is fully fit, ideally you're going to have Trent playing passes from deep areas, and then it's a bit more advantageous to have someone like McAllister playing smarter passes further upfield. So in the first half of the season, he got 0.3 XA, 0.1, and that was the most that he got. However, since the Bournemouth match, there's 0.2, 0 again, 0.1, 0.1, 0.5, 0.7. That's XG assisted, sorry, not XA, which is slightly different. An increase notable in the past 5-6 matches. So I think we're starting to see dividends for playing further upfield, but having him, that synergy with Endo is important as well, because I think it allows him to get a bit further forward.
But your thoughts before we do the match summary, your thoughts on Alexis McAllister and his increasing importance to LFC?
I think the more we can get him in zone 14 and half spaces, the better we'll be as a side. I really do. If you look at the pass maps for this game particularly, he starts first half right side, goes left side second half when Endo comes on. But in the second half particularly, he's taken up more positions in and around zone 14, which you saw his growing influence in that second half. You know, as soon as we had that, we changed it, right? We managed to keep the ball for longer in those areas. But I do think as a side, he said it in the pre-season pod, he said McAllister could become the next transfer restaurant signing because he's going to operate in those areas and provide passes that we haven't had before. We don't normally have a player dominating those half spaces from midfield. We've been used to a 9 dropping in and doing that. Whereas because we were changing modality of a team to have an actual number 9, you need to have a midfielder to operate within those tight spaces, those zones to produce the forward. And we're starting to see that. You know, Mac has now fed the winner in for Darwin, as we'll come on to, but there are other opportunities. He was trying to find Darwin a few times, and whoever's playing 9, he's playing those cute balls around the corner or slide passes. He's got a variety. I think this could be, the more we can get him into those areas for the running, I think this could be absolutely critical for us.
I was thinking when I did the committee pods in the summer, the transfer committee pod, and we basically decided before that pod that we were buying players for the WM, right?
Yeah.
And so that in that case, the key thing was to find 2 players who could play what in old money the inside forward positions, the attacking creative 8 in the half spaces, and we said, well, what is the primary skills, primary requirement for that role is creativity and ability in tight spaces. And that was one of the primary reasons why, we signed McAllister there on the fantasy pod as well, because he was, because of his time at Brighton.
Yeah. But he's off ball as well.
Where he was basically one of the best 10s in the league playing that role.
But his off ball as well means that we can win it higher as well. He sort of helps with that. And I think fundamentally, I still think we've bought for that, because Hamzah as well, once we have Trent back, inverting next to Endo or A6, whatever pick you want to have, you've then got a nice base, because Endo does the defensive side, Trent could do the long passing. You've got Mac and Dom doing each slightly different roles in those half spaces higher up. Dom's more of a carrier. They're both off the ball, absolutely prolific in their workload and win the ball higher up. And both provide us what we need output in the half spaces, which is, again, a model we generally haven't had as a side. So I think it's by hook or crook, we might actually be ending going into the last run of the games with that setup. Maybe not with Trent, but certainly with our 2/8s in the right areas.
So I'll come back to you on the stats back in a second.
Yeah, no worries.
But Si, you're one of Alexis McAllister's biggest fans. Summing up the discussion we've had, do you also think 8 is his best of the 3 roles?
I think giving it a number is a little bit reductive. I think he does what he does, and he just tailors his skills radar to suit the specific task at hand. When he's deeper, he is a little bit more respectful of giving the ball away, and a little bit more reticent to get beyond the ball. And higher up the pitch, that becomes a little bit more expansive. I think he and Zobo, they could end up being absolute legends of a Liverpool midfield.
Yeah.
The way they dovetail in the way, like for you and I, that you would have loved McMahon and Whelan, and how in an 80s centre midfield, the pair of them did all of the things a midfield would do together.
Yeah.
Brilliantly.
And was a contra spreader.
But they did both of them. Yeah. They did all of those things, but enough of it to create up to add up to a third to add up the spreader. So Whelan was a bit more of a spreader than the McMahon, who was more of a cruncher.
Yeah,
but they were both buzzers.
Yeah.
And I think that those two together, that Zobo will get beyond in a way that Mac won't. He'll get beyond the final line of our attack, or become even the figurehead of the attack if necessary. Even he can receive his back to goal, but he also will dribble like that Barts said, and he can take on players and take them out of the game with his physicality. And Mac will take players out of the game with the timing of his passes. So what Mac does, he helps set the tempo of the game, but also the tempo. What we're starting to see, I think, in the last 4 games is much less in this game, apart from the last minute of brilliance. But we're starting to see how he sets the tempo of the final phase. And I think that's one of the things that we've really lacked when breaking an opposition with a low block down, is being able to change both the angle of attack, but also the speed of which we're going to we'll lull you in and we'll send you to sleep, and then bang, bang, bang. And they'll just be quickly in 3 yards. And it's not a big distance as we're talking about here. It's just number of touches on the ball and speed of those touches on the ball. And he does it better than anybody else in our team, not called Thiago.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw my my Twitter feed over the weekend. I put out a series of polls based on the Klopp version 1.0 versus Klopp version 2.0 players. And one of the ones that I was really surprised by, I got over 2,000 votes in all these polls, was Gini Wijnaldum 18-19 versus Alexis McAllister 23-24. And McAllister won 66-34. I did not expect that result. But I think it's quite revealing, actually. I mean, there was some unexpected ones, like Sadio Mane got 99.4% against Luis Diaz 0.6%, right? So fair. But yeah, Mac beating Ginny 66-34 was really, unexpected.
Do you not think his timing of the poll plays a role in this? Like, if you said Mane or Diaz, even a year ago, it would have been closer, even though Mane's not been here for that whole year. It's just that people's opinions of Diaz, even though he's just played well for 10 games, has dropped.
Yeah, maybe. But I think there's if you get a big enough sample, the poll's going to cancel out that, because some people might vote for those reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's over 2,000, it's still on there. But yeah, I thought, what did you think? What do you think on the Ginny versus Mac thing, say?
I think Mac's a better player than Ginny.
Because he can do all what Ginny can with whistles and bells.
If we take out any idea of systems or Klopp player, if we just look at a footballer, Mac's a better footballer.
Mm.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Okay. But long overdue stats pack, please.
Yeah, no worries. So overall summary for us at Forest was 64.3 to 35.7 to be really pedantic. In terms of possession, touches 852 to 473 in our favour. Total shots 22 to 8. 9 shots off target to their 3. 4 on target to their 2. 6-yard box shots of 2 to their 0. Penalty box shots of 18 to 5. Outside the box shots, less, 3 each. Big chances, they had 2, at 0. And more importantly, we have 1 goal to their 0. XG, I've got understat for this one, so 2.07 versus 0.96 for them. APV, 1.23 for us and 0.51 for them, which meant they converted more of their APV to XG at 188 versus our 168. Field tilt 72 versus 27-ish for them. Pass completion 86 for us versus 67 for them.
68% passing for them.
Yeah,
Jeez Louise, that's a shocker.
That's a shocker. Probabilities 68% us to win the game. They were less than draw. And in terms of score, I've got it coming out as 2-1 to us. They're being the most likely at 13%. And I added a little bit on
2-1. We were the most likely.
We were the most likely result. Okay. Yeah, 2-1 to us. And I've added a bit about final endpoints, which takes into account what we've already got and the whole season of XG for and against. And currently, according to this Monte Carlo, we are on 92 points at 13% of the time in 1,000 sims.
So that's 13. The most likely outcome from here is 92 points.
Yeah, only 13%. You've got to remember, it's still a long way to go, so that'll get better if we get in.
But even though that's the most likely outcome,
that's the most likely
13. Outcome. That still tells you something.
Yeah.
So, Barts, there was about 10 years ago when fancy analytics, fancy stats were developing and very much in the public domain, and it was quite a genuinely scientific approach to improving things on public analytics. There was a really well-known blog post by Mark Taylor. I think his blog's still going. Mark Taylor 0 on Twitter, and it was basically trying to apply the understanding of the law of large numbers to a football match, and the scenario he used was who would win a game where Team A has 20 low-quality shots and Team B has 2 high-quality shots? And I think it's quite interesting. This is the first match I can really remember Liverpool having where we've had the opportunity to talk about this, because we were a case study for that blog post, because we had, 22
shots.
22 shots.
XG of 0.06.
That can't be right. No, isn't it 0.09?
Yeah, sorry, 0.09. Yeah,
0.09 and no big chances. We can debate potentially that, but yeah. And they had 0.9, just call it 1 XG from 8 shots with 2 big chances.
Yeah.
So what did, leaving aside the debate over whether there was offside or not, let's just say that it was 20 low-quality shots against 2 high-quality ones, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
What did the Monte Carlo say about the chances of each team winning this match?
For goals?
Yeah.
So the Monte Carlo said that Forest should have scored. You've got the 1 goal line for them. They should have got at least one on 11, 13. They should have been, what's that, over, that's only 30% of the time they would have scored 1 goal from those results in the Monte Carlo 1000 Sims.
Which tab of your stats pack is your Monte Carlo one, mate?
Bottom left of match summary gives you the probabilities of the scoring.
Okay. Yeah.
The score, yeah. So you've got, them not scoring any goals is fairly low on there. They've got a higher amount for the rest. So yeah, I think it's that we bucked that case study trend, didn't we? Because we had low quality shots, we had 20 low quality shots at whatever actually it was per average, and they had 2 big ones. So
looking at that, if those numbers add up, it looks to me that there was a 70% chance that Forest should have scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
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 Because they had they were both to Elanga, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Elanga won for 1v1, and then the one second half which she puts wide of the post. I think the reason it's a big chance is because he's got pretty much the whole goal to put it in, hasn't he? Yeah, because Kelleher's kind of out of the frame. When the moment he shoots, he's got at least, and he's under no pressure, and he's got half the goal to aim at, and he just puts it wide of the post.
Puts it wide of the post.
Yeah. And what was our distribution of scoring like? So the chances...
our highest was just want to work out quick maths here, but they're still saying because we're the amount of XG scored. I've got to remember Monte Carlo's going to look at the total.
Yeah.
So because we produced 2 XG, it would say that we would score more than 1 goal. In us not scoring any goals at all in the match is 2%.
Yeah.
So it gives you that idea that
8% when you add up the 3. So 8% chance of us scoring 0.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And then a 20% chance of us scoring 1 goal. Yeah. So, but then if you think about it, then both teams have got about a 70% chance of scoring more than at least 1 goal. So it's just a really interesting, and it just literally comes down to, though Forest missed their 2 big chances, and you can say it's player quality, you can say it's good goalkeeping, you can whatever, but I just think
I think it is the exact, for me, that it's just player quality. In that moment, their player hasn't got the experience, whatever you call it, didn't take the chance. Our player, fresh off the bench, scored.
Yeah.
It's sometimes football is that simple. It does come down to the quality of player in the final position. But having said that, all the other chances he had would have, I think, showed, unfortunately, a lot of tiredness fatigue. I think that we made wrong decisions. We chose the wrong finish. We didn't develop the chance to be further better than it was. It was quite
a frustrating game.
It's a frustrating game. There was poor decision making, which you can say for me is one of the signs of fatigue, is because you're not making the right call because you're tired or you got other things going through your brain. So yeah, I think there's other elements. Our threat would suggest that we were in good positions. We just didn't quite make the right decision to turn that into a high quality chance. We made a secondary choice, we say, and it created a lower quality chance, 2% chance. Whereas on another day, with a clearer thought process, we would have made the better quality chance and turn it into a 10% chance. So I think their threat still wasn't very high. You got to remember they got less than 1 threat. So Well, less than half, I think, nearly, wasn't it?
They had a lot. One thing they also did was a lot of bodies between our shooter and the goal all the time. There's a lot of blocks, a lot of deflections. Yeah.
So as we know, that type of game, even in the title-winning side, comes down to set pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Si, we have to talk about our new number one, big ginger Kev, Weaving Kelleher. What a guy!
Yeah, he's looks like he's been in tremendous form the last 4 games, isn't he? He's getting finally a run in the team. Hopefully, this is the guy that they talked up, and it was just let's say it wasn't an insignificant number of games that he was grossly underperforming his post XG.
Yeah,
but they were intermittent.
Yeah,
so maybe this is just rhythm. I don't know if goalkeepers need it or have it, but he looks better. Maybe this is just small sample, but let's ride it while we can, because we're going to have to for a while, because Ali's going to be out for another month at least.
Yeah. So he's been 5 games now since Ali got injured just before Brentford. We conceded 13 big chances, say. That's not great. Too many in 5 games. Do you know how many the opposition have scored of that 13?
2.
Exactly. And do you know how many Kelleher has saved?
7.
Oh, good. 6. It was 6. So Cole Palmer, Conor Gallagher at Wembley, Ivan Toney at Brentford, Elanga in this game, Suleimana and Mara against Southampton. So nice. 5 misses, 6 saves, and only 2 goals from the opposition last 13 big chances. That's, if you want to look reason why we won this game, look no further than Kelleher. Again.
Yeah, I would even go as far as there's been some chat in us in the last couple of days in the group of a lot, how good are we? And I think we've been riding the coattails of him. I think Virgil's been tremendous, even though he's been tremendous. 13 big chances in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
And we're lucky the opposition's the post shot, their conversion of XG into post shot has dipped at the same time. So we're running a little bit lucky because people keep missing, and Kev's made some significant saves. One of those, that the stupid rule in the Premier League with the bloody offside nonsense, one of them was definitely offside. It was a good 2 meters offside, the Elanga for the big chance, which he did save.
Well, we all know, based on that game with Spurs, that that's no guarantee, say. So,
no, true, absolutely true. I was talking to some Forest fans today. Jesus, it'll blow your mind.
Oh my word! But yes, Weaving Kelleher, and it's a good job. One of the biggest things we got going for us in the title race is, I think, the fact that Arsenal and City's goalkeepers are absolutely garbage, and they can barely save anything. And we're the complete opposite. So,
can we just also remember, if we remember back to our great team, the title-winning team?
Oh,
Adrian played the first 10 games in that.
Yeah. Alisson got injured in the very first game against Norwich, didn't he? Hamstring. Yeah. And even in that sequence as well, I think we were a sequence of 2 goals conceded from 16 big chances in the middle of that sequence as well.
Wow.
And then they just kept on missing around, I think it was November, January. They just kept missing big chances. But yeah, let's hope history repeats. Let's really hope it does. Hamzah, do you want to have anything quickly to say on Kelleher in this match?
Other than technically, as in the way that he saves one-on-ones, or he has saved one-on-ones recently, there's a similarity with Alisson.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's particularly working with Alisson or with the goalkeeping team, but you see when he approaches. Well,
are we going to give John Achterberg some praise? I mean, you mentioned that a few years ago.
For example, when the sweeper keeper first came in, you'd often see the sort of thing that Edison became infamous for, right? The ball goes in behind and the goalkeeper rushes off the line, gives the striker or the shot taker the opportunity to round them with a big touch either way, and then an open goal to roll the ball into. Over the past few years, that sort of convention has changed for the better. So now goalkeepers, if they're presented with long range one-on-one, they'll stay in their box. They'll wait until the opponent sort of enters around the area, that sort of distance, and that's when they'll begin to engage. And you can take this example against Elanga, or the example against Gallagher, which is more of a smother, of when, as soon as a player sort of moves towards the box, that's when, so this one in particular, you actually see as soon as Elanga gets the ball, Kelleher drops and he goes a bit deeper. And then as Elanga advances, gets towards the box, that's when Kelleher makes his first move, creeping forwards and then rushing forwards. And he does this nice spread where he covers one side, as in he dives to one side. And I think he dives to his right side in this example with Elanga, where he uses he reaches out with his right hand and moves his chest towards the right side. But at the same time, he extends his left arm up and his left leg out. And that's what he makes a save with, which is a similar sort of starfishy sort of shape to what Anderson does. And also what you've kind of seen handball as well, but not quite the same.
His sweeper keeper attributes are tremendous. I'm going to put it to you, Hamzah, that his distribution with the ball might actually even be slightly better than Alisson's. What do you say? Do you think I speak the truth? Or do you think I'm talking a load of broken biscuits?
I think Alisson has a really good throw on him that people often underrate. The speed at which Alisson throws a ball is really impressive, and the distance that he gets on is really good. And I think it's just not an element that people.
But with the ball at his feet, it's a big strength for him, right? For Kev.
Yeah, it is 100%. He can play with the ball at his feet. I think Alisson has better vision, though. And what I mean vision, I mean the ability to see an opportunity playing out in front of him. That's why he's got the assist to Salah, and that's why he often does pick out a long pass that can spark an attack. I think Kelleher has range, but not necessarily vision.
Do you think maybe his recycling is better then?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, okay, interesting. But just to say that we're comparing him, his attributes is testament to how well he's been playing. Hamzah, I'm going to say I'll also put it to you that we're in quite the unusual position where our subs improved. Each sub, it seemed to me when I was improved us, and we got progressively better as the game went on, which we haven't seen that many times.
And given the level of performance before the first substitution was sort of mediocre. At best, you'd hope they would make an improvement. But yeah, so Nunez and Endo came on as a pair, then Szoboszlai, and then Dant and Tsimikas also as a pair. But yeah, the first change was particularly important because just Nunez's qualities as a player meant that he posed a very different question to Forest than Gakpo did. Gakpo didn't have many touches at all in the area. My page is just refreshing. Here we go. Possession touches by a third. So Gakpo in his 83 minutes just had 3 touches in the area and 17 touches in the middle third. The attacking third, sorry. No touches in the defensive third and 12 in the middle third. But for context, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players had more touches in the attacking third, including Joe Gomez and Andy Robertson. Robertson's out wide. But yeah, Gakpo.
I think we'll be kind of say he struggled to get involved.
I think he looks quite run down as well. I think he's knackered, which is fair. But yeah, so Nunez offered a very different profile for that. Endo came in and just getting my sheet back up. And swapped with so sorry, I put the wrong one. Yeah, so Clark and Robertson both came off. Gomez went to left back, and Endo moved into midfield, which allowed McAllister to just move a bit further up. And then Szoboszlai came on later for Elliott. Elliott had sort of run himself into the ground, but wasn't as effective as would have hoped. And then later on, Dan and Tsimikas also added a lot more pressure.
So I think it's fair to say that Endo and Nunez were the 2 big players that changed to help gradually move the needle in our favour. I mean, Nunez had 6 penalty box touches and 5 shots in 37 minutes, and Endo was pretty lively. Yeah.
Yeah. He made. The problem with using a work laptop is it's super, super slow. But yeah, Endo got himself about a bit. 2 recoveries, a couple of clearances, won 2 of his 3 ground duels, won his aerial duel, and then just did a tidy job at working the ball. But the key thing was actually for the goal was that he won the ball and they got it to McAllister quickly, and then McAllister showed his vision. The one thing, we'll cover the goal in detail in a bit, I guess, but the one thing I really liked about it was when I was watching it live, when I wasn't watching it live because it was a 3 p.m. match, and I definitely didn't do that. But apparently when it was happening live through the camera, what you would have seen is that McAllister received the ball and he had a player to his right and Szoboszlai was behind him. And just instinctively, my sort of reaction was lay it off to Szoboszlai or play it wide. Actually, my reaction was play it wide, rework it. And that's with the advantage of having the camera views. You see a lot more than the footballer does because it's a bit hard to see those sort of things on the pitch. But what McAllister did really well was that he paused and he looked up and he considered an option that, personally, with my advantageous viewpoint, I just didn't see. And that was to clip the ball into Nunez. But yeah, I think that's a testament to his level of thinking. And there's a few players that do that. One of the best players I've seen that spots things that I can't see with tactical views, Thiago. Whenever I watch him play live, he hits passes that you just can't see and can't imagine. But that, again, that's testament to his vision and level of thought as a player, which is far better than mine.
Yeah. Barts, Darwin Núñez was a pretty... He was involved literally from the first second he came on the pitch.
Yeah. I thought Hamzah wrapped that way. He offered us something we were missing, which is probably presence in that area. Yeah. Without being too unkind to Cody, he just looked like he was absolutely out on his legs, to be honest with you. But I thought Endo might have been the key to that. Okay. It meant Mac was operating even higher. He didn't really have to worry about operating with Joe anymore, and he just went, right, I'll go and play up here and I'll try and dictate. And he started that tempo rising, as I said, and got it out to a crescendo, which reached at the end. And if you look at the pass networks, there's not a lot wrong with the first half. I mean, people were coming in at half time saying it was horrendous and the rest of it. It's just there's a lack of high duels. There's not a lot of either attempted duels in the final third, and there's a lack of presence and passes in the half space in zone 14. But if you come out second half, we improve all those areas. We have, even when you look at the attacking plot, we have players in those areas as an average. So it just I think Endo enabled us to shift up a little bit and keep us higher on possession and do that. And then, as Hamzah said, Mac in that moment, Endo wins it high. The two of them work really well together, to be fair. Mac knows what Endo's doing, wins it, spins, turns and floats it into the back post. And yeah, I'm with Hamzah. I didn't see that ball at all. But he clearly did. And he knew also, and that's the other thing, Darwin was in that area. He was already peeled off in between two players and was like, right, I'll be in that area. That's what he was. He'd already had, did he hit side netting earlier on within 2 minutes of coming on?
He just constantly running in behind, constantly trying to get into the box. Yeah.
Which is what they needed.
And we didn't have in the match.
We didn't have that penetration because you had Harvey on the right, who's doing the Harvey stuff. Yeah. You had Diaz doing his Diaz stuff, but in isolation. But because we couldn't do our recycling in the right triangle, which isn't present on the past match, which had been for the last 3 games, and then using Diaz as the penetration, we couldn't get that working as efficiently in this game because of the way Forest was set up. That had all those bodies in the middle. We then had to go to another way, which the other way was not quite break glass, but Núñez, who opposite in behind. So I think it was it fortunate? Were we tired? Yes, all of those, but eventually we found the right tool in our box and we changed it up and we had quality players on the pitch that wanted the win and created the opportunity for us. Just to note, although we got frustrated with our performance, we still kept a nice ratio between our passing lengths, right? Which is good, which is something we didn't get frustrated about. We kept the pattern, we kept mixing our length of passing, long, short, long chains. Forest, I have to say, I haven't been doing this long, but this is the first time I've seen they had 86% of their passes were below 5 in length. which shows you of their limited amount of ball, they were literally less than 5 passes they were looking to make a pass for, and then they were going to go. So it was just, that shows you the tactics that Nuno had set Forest up for.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah. Si, anything you want to add to the period from the subs to the end of the game?
I would leave it with your very optimistic views.
What were the you don't want to give signs of warning signs there that we maybe need to pay attention to?
I think we were wank. I think we didn't play well at all. We created nothing. We didn't cause them to be unstable at all. No sub made any difference other than 3 seconds at the end of a bit of brilliance of Mac and a lovely finish by Darwin. He didn't cause them any problems. No one caused them any problems. But even his extra touches that he got in the box, it felt slightly more exciting because he wasn't Gakpo. And Gakpo was almost playing on their side.
Well, this is why we have balanced views on this pod, because you need a balanced assessment of a match, and I think it's perfectly fair. And okay, so one of the things the last point on my agenda for this match is I don't particularly want to talk about the period at 99 minutes, because that's been done to death in the media and everything, right? What I wanted to focus on was that early in the season, when Rhodesy was still with us, we had a very interesting debate about Paul Tierney, and there was a lot. Rhodesy had been doing a lot of work for Paul Tompkins' site and all the evidence about Paul Tierney and other refs in LFC. And now I think it's come back the last 3 times Tierney has refed us, including I think Chelsea at home was one of them as well. We've actually had some quite favourable outcomes in those 3 matches. But what I'm going to start this off with, guys, is just simply saying that I think the instance at the end of this match shows that Paul Tierney is just not a very good referee. And I think we can put to bed all the previous talk about bias and corruption, and we just can simply conclude he's not very good at his job. What say you? Anyone?
He's wank. He's also he referees our games more than anybody else's games, so we get more examples of his absolute ineptitude. And his hubris. That's the feeling I get from him. But
do you think there's been enough to kill the bias and the conspiracy?
No, so I don't think it's bias. What my feeling is, if you look at the games, most of the games that are big problems are at home, or they are big games. And what he is doing is this is his hubris. He is going, I'm not being swayed by this being Liverpool.
Yeah.
So he gives decisions that go against us to make a point that he's not being swayed by this being Liverpool. He's not anti-Liverpool. He's just, I am the big man. Mm-hmm. And we have been a victim of that. In this game, the decisions weren't even big.
Yeah.
He didn't go at big decisions against us at all. He repeated, if he did make a mistake, it was a mistake of giving giving a drop ball to the wrong person for both teams.
Yeah.
20 minutes apart. That's it. He didn't make any mistakes. The egregious mistake of the adding time on, it was nonsense. None of it. He just didn't make any big mistakes. I think his biggest mistake in this game, and it wasn't a particularly big mistake because this shit happens all the time, was foul on against Bobby Clark. From one of their, let's make no bones about this. They've got a filthy diving cheat in midfield called Dominguez, who was throwing himself to the ground, holding his face when somebody tickled his ankle.
I think it's a fair summary from based on what I might have seen of him. Yes. Yeah.
So if they got sucker punched by Ibu fake holding his head, which let's get around this Karate Kid bullshit. The Karate Kick didn't touch him, but doesn't matter if there's a foot that high. It's a high foot. Should have been a free kick because it's a dangerous play.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to make contact. It was a high foot, should have been a free kick. It was dangerous play. Ibu did fake a head injury, which pisses me off because all footballers lie and cheat. And I call it whichever team. I hate our team cheating. And I hate it exponentially more when they're faking head injuries. I hate it when our girls do it. I hate it when any footballer does it because at some point, it's going to be a boy that cried wolf.
Yeah. But anything on Paul Tierney? Because we were a bit reluctant to have the discussion early in the season.
Yeah, I think Si's point about the sample size being skewed towards this is actually really valid, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, if you do, it's going to look worse, isn't it? If a guy who referees us 3 times more than any other ref, right? It's going to create instance. I hadn't thought about that, to be honest with you. But in this game, I genuinely, I can't understand. I don't get it. I don't, because he made the same mistake for both sides.
Yeah. So do you think it's more the media fault?
I think it's more. This is completely the media and the fact that Clattenburg works for Forest, so that therefore he went and gave.
But their fucking chairman was on the pitch.
I know. What I'm saying is,
fuck is that about?
By the fact that Clattenburg has gone out and written this written the rules and done all that kind of stuff, that gave credence more to the fact that they were bigging this thing up. The fact that actually, I think when Dean was on Sky Sports doing his ref watch thing, I think he said that it didn't have any impact on the game because there was a minute and a half between the incident and us scoring. And they had 4 instances to try and clear the ball, which Miller also pointed out as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Neil Miller killed this with his...
Killed it with it, and I think that's the bit... And so I do think this is the media, but this is creeping into the last few games on the big... on Sky particularly, and maybe TNT. They've been looking for something to blow out and create a narrative. They really have. And I think they should just report on the game. I really do. Do some decent analysis. You can do that. Anyone who saw Carragher with Henry last night, on Monday night, that was great analysis. Do more of that. Don't create narratives about stuff that, just for me, Match of the Day was awful for the same reason. I hate the way that we are selling the sport at the moment on hate, which shouldn't be about that. It should be about you're a sports show to analyse a game, to educate, to improve our understanding of the game. It should not be to create a divisive society. Sorry, that's a bit soapboxy.
No, I've spoken like a true scientist there.
I fundamentally disagree with the approach of creating narratives that are based on hate.
Yeah.
Can I say I'd much rather, but this is us, I'd much rather read Hamzah's writing in the newspaper than the salacious garbage which most of the famous journalists will frame their work with to get clicks. But sadly, the world we live in is just about clicks. And they rolled with the insanity. It's the most absurd story. My brain finds it really hard to reconcile the outrage with the worst version of this thing that happened. It just doesn't make any sense that there's any outrage about it.
I think we have reached a peak position of absurdity here because the Athletic have reached now the position of doing a kind of a Gogglebox style column, right? You know, Gogglebox is, for those of you who've seen it, we watch people watching TV, right?
Yeah.
But the Athletic had a correspondent whose job it was to write an article on what Gary Neville was saying on the big game on the weekend, right? And he wasn't even writing about the game. He was writing about what Neville was saying about the game. It's nuts.
It's like Neville again. Right, this is the incident I was thinking of. Actually, he rolled it back.
I think the stats show's finished, by the way.
Yeah,
we're now ranting now. No more stats tonight.
But Neville was talking about the £1 billion bottle jobs, right, for the cup.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
But I know it's funny, but why is he saying
that? It's just incendiary because he's selling his brand. Up. That's what he's doing. He's selling his brand.
To be fair, Chelsea have spent £1 billion and they are wank. So I mean.
You get one point though. Just that's a soundbite. He's just sending a soundbite to get it all clipped.
I think it's the only good line Gary Neville's only ever said. That one. I mean, the rest of his commentary's wank, but yeah. I mean, Hamzah, you haven't asked to be right yet to write articles about covering how analysts cover the games, have you?
Referee analysts.
Oh, anybody? Have you been paid to write an article on what Jamie Carragher said about the most recent match? Or
no, because chiefly I'm rubbish at that sort of stuff. I'm terrible at ripping stuff off. I've never showed any sort of talent for ripping other people's stories off. So I've never. Most people, when they start out, they have to do that sort of stuff. But I was rubbish at it. So
didn't you do the 10 players on the shortlist for the Premier? Your version of the 10 players for Player of the Year.
Yeah, I did. I just chose a player because I knew that Van Dijk and
my Twitter feed told me it was Phil Foden.
Yeah, well, I think the conversation was sparked by Guardiola saying Foden is the best in the league for what he does. That he does everything, right? And I knew that Van Dijk would already be covered. I knew that Rodri would already be covered. So I thought it might be fun to talk about McAllister. As in, for the record, Van Dijk is my pick. Old players currently fit, and it would be Salah otherwise. But I thought it'd just be fun to.
Did you have any Arsenal players in your mix as well? Rice, Saka?
Saka and Rice were right. I don't think they're as good as Rodri this season. I don't think they're as good as Van Dijk this season. I'd probably go with Saliba of all the Arsenal players. I think he's fantastic. But to come back to the original point about referees, I think Clattenburg, straight after the match, pretty much, it was made clear to the people in the mix zone. So the mix zone is the area after the match where usually the players will go to offer comment. They don't have to go there, but often they're encouraged to by the club press officers to give a comment after the match to the journalists, and usually that stuff is held for the following day. But it was made quite clear that Mark Clattenburg would be there giving a sort of briefing about the refereeing decision, and I thought it was just the whole premise is nonsensical. The idea that he was going to a former colleague, as in Paul Tierney, going to the dressing room after the match and trying to speak with him on behalf of Forest is silly. And Paul Tierney was quite right to turn him away and tell him, no, I don't want to talk to you.
Are we allowed to lobby referees?
Well,
that's effectively what this is, right? Lobbying.
Sort of, yeah. In Real Madrid, Real Madrid also have a consultant referee, and it's super schmoozy, as in like he will invite the referee before the match into the dressing room, sort of offer him a bit of food, drink, whatever. It's not quite that here, but it's the same sort of tone, really, as in, oh, I know you, let's have a drink, have a chat, that sort of thing. But there's another thing here in that making these sort of things public, as in complaining about agreements publicly, is an explicit attempt to put pressure on referees, as in clubs and the PGMOL all the time have dialogue with one another, and if there's a complaint, that can be voiced privately to the PGMOL. However, we've seen this season, principally with Liverpool after the Spurs era, but also with Arsenal after the Newcastle goal, and also about Saka getting kicked or fouled, and then this incident, that clubs are now publicly voicing their complaints, and there's only one reason you do that, is to literally put pressure and focus media attention and the agenda on that sort of thing.
So do you think this is all? Do you think it's ultimately because Forest are likely to have some kind of penalty for breaching PSR rules, and they're currently only 4 points ahead of the drop zone. Do you think that's what ultimately this is about?
I think that features as part of it. I think at the same time, they've also had a number of decisions that you'd be upset to have go against you. And I think that as an objectively, that's a fair comment. But yeah, I don't think this is a good place for football. And I think the media has an important role to play. So when I look at the match of the day analysis, I was just quite disappointed with how they covered that. I think so. Gregor Robertson, who was at the match, wrote about this yesterday for us, and he was quite clear. He says that this sort of thing is farcical, and it's actually his headline was he didn't write the headline, of course, but Mark Clattenburg helps football find a new way to eat itself. I think this sort of stuff is really not what you want in football, and I think it's a really sort of it's something that should be resisted. But I don't think clubs have any incentive to resist it.
Very well said, Hamzah. Just to finish off, Si, quickly, we've been doing injury watch and fitness watch. We've just played the first 2 of 6 games in 16 days. We've still got 4 games in 11, 4 games in 10 to go. Where are we with squad management and returning players and things like that in your view? What's the current state of play?
So theoretically, we've got a couple of big players in the Darwin's not even been out very much, but Darwin and Zobo are coming back in. I don't consider Endo being an injury return. He just had a week where he played 4 straight games in 14 days of 100 minutes or more. So he just needed a little bit of a rest. Yeah. So fair enough. He's good. So we got Zobo and Darwin who can play a mixture of the games coming up this week, but not the majority. The Salah's back in training.
Is he?
Hopefully we can get him back in a mixture of the game at some point this week as well. He's not, but I'll be staggered if he'd started. Though this is Mo Salah, so I'm very often staggered by him, and I would be happy. He is the one player I'd be happy with a gamble with
against City.
My feeling is that there are 33 points left to win. I don't know if we can win this league with fewer than 31. Salah's going to have to play a big role in this, and
this one in particular because it's a 6-pointer.
Yeah, this is a huge game, and nobody likes playing City better than Salah, and Pep Guardiola doesn't hate playing against anybody more than Mo Salah.
Yeah. In terms of fatigue index, 6 games in 16 days, 4 games in 10 days. Where are we with that? Is it still a war zone in your words?
Well, kind of. So we've got a whole bunch of boys that our current chronic to acute work ratio isn't that high. Because the week before was so high, this week was lower, so it looks prettier, basically, just ostensibly because we don't have extra time.
So what you're saying is it's least worse.
Yeah, it's the least worse, but in the grand scheme of things, we have a whole ton of players that are playing in the upper echelons of their capacities, and they're still projected for their upper echelons of their capacities. We have 9 guys that are projected to reach career maxes, and we have 6 that are going to get above career max plus 30%. Which these are all big jumps, and you've got to expect this when you're going for 63 game seasons plus young lads that play international football. International week is going to make a big difference. Like we've played 1,800 minutes more of international football as a club than we did two seasons ago, and we're already one window short of that. It's just that we have a lot of players that play a lot of games for internationals. So it looks like, oh yeah, we've got 4 games in the next 2 weeks, but we haven't. Our players now are on fire between now and May the 20th.
I think we might have a lot of sick notes going in though for this international break.
Fingers crossed, but who knows?
But we know that there's trouble already brewing with Egypt FA again. So,
yeah,
but yeah.
If you listen to the fatigue index I did last week with Neil Parsley, who is an England S&C, we talk about the multiple stakeholders involved in a footballer's care when they go to international breaks.
Yeah.
So with a bit of detail, if you want to listen to that.
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. Recommend it for anybody. But I'm assuming Bart's side that the relationship between Liverpool and the Egyptian FA now looks broken.
Yeah, but it doesn't even matter. The bottom line is they can be best friends. The two managers, they have divergent interests. That's it. So it doesn't matter how much data we pass back and forth, how much we care about the player. There are two teams that own the player that want to win. And during seasons, during years, specifically, there are going to be there's going to be times where it's more important or less important for the international side to play their player for a full 95 minutes. It can be political, can be a World Cup winning, desperately need to play that game, whatever. And they might be working on 50% capacity because their leg's about to fall off. And they'll get played anyway. And then there are others when they aren't needed and they're playing against Andorra in a friendly, and the Gareth Southgate will make this big grand gesture to let one of the best players. You have a little break, but they'll still get flogged in training. But then they won't have to play in the match. So that stuff happens all the time, and we can't control it. If you just, in your brain, if you can reconcile they're going to international break, somebody will be trying to prove a point with them. That's it. It's just the nature of the beast. They are not on a rest unless we can drag them out of it.
Yeah. Right. Last word to you, Barts. Anything else that you missed that you wanted to cover?
Not at all. There's some new stats doing around, which we will touch base on for the next pod. But
yes, maybe have some more stuff. We might even get size possession control added to Bart's his stats pack if he tells us the secret formula.
There's no secret.
Yeah, write it down and Bart's will implement it. Yes. Right. Anyway, until next Monday, we'll be back for another doubleheader after the Man City game. But thank you, Barts. Thank you, Hamzah. Thank you, Sai. And until then, up the fucking Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wilson, you sent the game-winning email at the buzzer, avoiding a 4:55 meeting on everyone's calendar. How did you do it?
I got a huge assist from Grammarly, an AI writing partner that helped me make my point.
96% of Grammarly users say that it helps them craft more impactful writing. Would you agree?
Grammarly helped adjust my tone to navigate tough work conversations. And it works everywhere I write, so I can quickly communicate effectively.
Your teammate used Grammarly to summarize an important document, making a 3-pointer. How did he do it?
It only took one click. When everyone uses Grammarly, everything just makes sense.
You made an incredible slam dunk to end the game. The meeting was canceled, and your team will go home champions. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download it for free. That's Grammarly.com/podcast. Easier said, done.